So you have talked a lot about your connection to Nath tradition. So could you describe the origin and the essence of the Nath tradition, and also the connection of the Sri Guru and Maheshwarnath Babaji to that tradition?
I have two traditions actually three, but one of course is my link to Sri Guru Babaji. So Sri Guru Babaji does not have any order or any lineage. We know, because we don't know where he learnt, we don't know anything. So he doesn't have a lineage. But we, many of us who practice Kriya, consider him as the founder of the system. Although Kriya Yoga existed many hundred years ago, Babaji was the one who properly arranged it and taught it to people. He has been teaching for many years to many unknown people. But there was one person from Bengal whose name was Shyamacharan Lahiri. People called him Lahiri Mahashaya. So he taught him and instructed him to teach others. Otherwise he did it himself. Nobody knows how many people are. And Lahiri Mahashaya started teaching. And he had many followers. Actually, traditionally there are 108 Kriyas. So Babaji picked up few and gave it to Lahiri Mahashaya and said, "You teach." So Lahiri Mahashaya taught the Kriya to different people. Some were monks, renunciants, sannyasins, some were married people, householders. Lahiri Mahashaya himself was a married man with 2 sons. But the monks used to come to him sometimes to get instruction. So from there it branched off to many schools of Kriya. Because he also, even though the central Kriya technique is the same, he changed something for different people, so that it is easy for them to understand. With the result that there are many Kriyas coming from different lineages, but everything starts from Babaji. And when Yogananda Paramahamsa wrote the autobiography of a yogi, that was the first time in the English language somebody wrote something about it. Before that, so then the West came to know. Even in India, very few people knew. So he called him Maha Avatar Babaji in his book, autobiography. Because he said many avatars, meaning manifestations of divinity, have come and gone, but here is someone who is there for several years and will be there for more years to come. So he called him Maha Avatar. Avatar is manifestation. So Maha means big, great. But for centuries, in tradition, in all the textbooks, which also belong to, some of them are Nath textbooks written by Gorakhnath, he is referred to as Sri Guru, not a Mahavatar, but Sri Guru, and also as Nityanath. Nityanath meaning permanent, Nath who is always there. So my connection is, I learnt Kriya from Maheshwarnath Babaji, my personal guru, who already belonged to the Nath tradition. But he was Babaji's disciple. So I am not connected to the Yogananda circle. I am connected from Babaji to Maheshwarnath Babaji to me. So it's only 2, in between 1. But what they teach also is Kriya. The central technique appears to be the same. There may be some addition and subtraction. abstraction here and there, because basically Yogananda Paramahamsa taught in the West, especially the United States. So I think he has made it little simpler for people to follow, because in their practices there are some things which I don't see which we practice. But the central kriya is there, pranayam is there. This is the one thing. The other thing is, many of the great Naths whom I have heard of, they all have great respect for Sri Guru Babaji, although he does not belong to any lineage. Okay, now the Nath Panth. It's called Panth or it's called Sampradaya. Sampradaya means tradition, lineage. So, the Nath tradition, according to the old texts, starts with someone who they refer to as Adi Nath, means the first Nath. Now the Jains in India also have their first teacher as Adi Nath, and Adi Nath is not different from Shiva. When you say Parama Shiva or the great Shiva, not small Shivas but big Shiva, then it means the same as Adinath, means one who was, Adi means first. Adi is actually the Ad root is also Adam, Adam, Adi, first. So Adinath means the earliest teacher in this lineage of Naths, whom we cannot place as even a human being but somewhere divine. Then from Adinath, and we don't think he is different from Sadashiva. After that we have a human being coming whose name is Maheshwarnath. Sorry, I'm thinking of Maheshwarnath always. After Adinath, the next in the Nath lineage is Matsyendranath. Matsya means fish, Matsyendranath. Probably he lived in water and air together, which means a highly accomplished person who could live also on earth and also in worldly things and also in spirit. Matsyendranath is also called Matsyendranath because we believe that the first teachers of spirituality, of humanity, came from the waters. Fish, Matsyendra. So anyway, he was a human being, Matsyendranath. He was born in Nepal. Even every year they celebrate the Matsyendranath festival in Nepal. Matsyendranath had many disciples, actually 9 disciples, of whom the most important was Gorakhnath. Now Gorakhnath, most people came to know of the Nath Sampradaya because of Gorakhnath, because he travelled. You will not find a single place where he hasn't been, including the south of India. He travelled everywhere and he introduced the teachings of yoga. In fact, at one time, the Vedantins, those who study Vedanta and say that this world is an illusion, there is only Brahman and so on, they only talked, they did not have any experience much because they didn't know any much yogic practice. You can say this, but if you need to know it, then you need to do some practice to open your mind, right? To open up. So it was almost lost. The science of yoga was just on the verge of being lost when Gorakhnath came into the picture. He picked it up and protected it and made a full science out of it. So there are some very important texts that Gorakhnath wrote. One of them is very difficult to understand and read. It's called Siddha Siddhanta Paddhati. So we go on. In there also he invokes Sri Gurubhyo Namaha, then he invokes Nityanataya Namaha and then starts. Then there are a few small books, texts which Gorakhnath wrote, Shiva Samhita, Garanda Samhita, Goraksha Shataka and things like that. Later on, many of the yogis actually came from the Nath Sampradaya. Swa Atma Rama, who wrote the Hatha Pradipika, where all asanas and bandhas and pranayama, everything is described. He was also a Nath. And in Maharashtra, the great yogi Jnaneshwar was a Nath. So there are lots of illustrious Nath yogis in India. Now, externally, the Nath yogis have some characteristics which I don't have externally. They wear big rings here. So Babaji told me, I used to wear. Babaji said, take it out. You are going into the world, you don't go like this. He used to wear. If you look at that picture carefully, there is two big rings. So he allowed me to take it off after I left him and put it into the Ganges river. So one sign of the Nath is this. The other sign of the Nath is usually they are wanderers. They don't like to stay in one place. And they also carry a whistle on their neck. Very once in a while they blow the whistle. And they have every day, wherever they go, they have a fire, which is called the dhuni. There will be no Nath without a dhuni. That also I have been exempted. Otherwise here I have to light in the evening, again tomorrow evening. So Babaji said, this is not going to work with you. He was quite a revolutionary. He said, twice a year you light the dhuni, enough. So I am going back for Guru Purnima, we will light a dhuni. Shivaratri we light a dhuni, that's all. And also there is one thing called the Trishul. It's like a weapon with like this. That also we are supposed to carry. Imagine going in the aircraft. And a pair of tongs called the chumta, which is used to turn the fire, like tongs. So I have them, all the things I have, including my rings, my chumta, my trishul, they're all kept in Delhi in some royal family's house. And every time they bring it when they come for Guru Purnima and Shivaratri. Then I keep it and then I give it back to keep it, to protect. So these are the external signs of a Nath. The internal practices are Kundalini Yoga, Pranayam, Kriya, many kinds of Kriya, and the textbooks are these, I told you already. These are the major textbooks of the Nath Sampradaya. So I am also a Nath because Maheshwarnath Babaji introduced me into the Nath and he changed my name to Madhukar Nath. So M is actually Madhukar Nath. Madhukar means someone who tastes the honey. So I became a Madhukar Nath. Then it's also a name of Krishna, Madhu. So that's it. That's about it. We don't have any particular uniform. We can wear what we want. Some of them put ashes, some don't. Some of them put something, or you don't have to do anything. And we also believe that Shirdi Sai Baba was a Nath, because we call him Sai Nath. And he always had a dhuni, fire burning. And he also had a chumta.
Yeah, you already mentioned about the dhuni. I wanted to ask, in your autobiography, there is this amazing episode where you're sitting with the Maheshwarnath, and then Maheshwarnath is commanding the Agni to touch your navel, and then you have this Kundalini experience. So
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, but so could you describe the Agni? It seems like it's like a living entity and almost like a deity. Can you say something about the significance of the Agni? And
Yeah.
And can one even invoke Agni present in your
Okay.
life and practice?
Among the powers of nature, Agni is considered to be very superior, because everything on this earth has happened because of combustion, heating, including the mixing of gases. Everything happens because of heat. Heat produces the seed, and Agni is the symbol, fire is the symbol of heat, of combustion. Not only combustion, it's the starting of life. In the car you have the ignition key, right? Tuck, and is ignited. Agni is the Latin word from Agni. Yeah, old word Agni, Igni. So when therefore fire is considered a great symbol, because with one fire you can light 1,000 fires. One is enough. And you can bring down an entire forest with one spark. So it is a very powerful nature, and it has its own intelligence. It's not as if it's mad. It's not. It has its own, not somebody controlling, but in its own way. And in the olden days, the Upanishads used Agni, or the fire, as a symbol to describe the spirit, because those days there were no matchboxes, there were no lighters. So if you had to light a fire, you had to have two pieces of wood, dry wood, one with a hole and another straight. Then with a rope they put it and rubbed. So from friction the fire came. So the Upanishad said, so the fire is already there in the wood. It comes when you have friction out. So the spirit is in the body. It comes when you do your practice, the churning. So it became a very important symbol, Agni. And also when it is a symbol of the spirit, because however much if you light something and put it down, the fire will always burn up. It will not burn down, it will burn up. So it uplifts you. And in ancient days there was only fire, there was no electricity, there was nothing. So it became almost divine for people. Now as far as the innate intelligence in it is concerned, if you know how to connect to the essence of one's being, that essence of the being and the essence of fire are not different. If you know that, then the fire becomes your friend. Now there are two types of fire. One is the external fire. The other is the internal fire. You know, people say, oh, he is fired with enthusiasm. Right? That means there is a fire burning in him. It's not physical, but there is a fire. And the fire of desire can burn one to ashes. Then there is the fire of food. The digestion of food is called the digestive fire. So fire is a symbol of something that it creates and destroys and makes new life. Agni. And if, as I said, if you know the essence of fire, then you can also have control over the essence of that fire inside. We all have fire in some way. A person who is really wanting to find the truth, the fire of inquiry is lit in him, the fire of desire to find it. Then it can burn everything up and go there, direct, that fire. So fire is always associated with energy, with desire, with, emotion. Somebody is fired. If he is not fired, then he is limp, right? If I have an old girlfriend, what will I call her? Old flame? I don't say old water, no? So, I don't have, I'm just saying. So, that flame is a symbol of energy, desire, fire. So, this is the one reason. The other is when you connect with the fire, then you know how to handle this fire. So in Babaji's case, what I told in the book, I'm sitting here and he's sitting there and the fire is lit, and fire was lit, of course. It didn't come by itself, fire was lit. But then he started looking at one flame in the center, a long time, and then I've never seen a fire flame go so high, like a tree. I've seen up to this, I have, but not. So it went straight up. And then I was looking at it, open mouth, then something more dangerous happened. That flame bent and hit me here. I thought, finish. This is the end. Why he is doing, I don't know, but this is the end. But when it hit here, then my Sushumna became very clear, and the energy went up, like straight, like a bomb. Then he said, down. So it went. He said in Hindi, niche jao. Then it was normal. That's one experience I've had with Babaji and with fire together. So I've always felt that it's a good friend of mine. Even when I used to wander alone in the forest, I used to light a fire. Sit there, nothing to worry now, here is the protector. Now, fire is the symbol of spirit, and earth is the symbol of solid, nature, the body. Fire is the spirit and body is nature, physical nature. I'm going to say something. You may or may not believe this. You've seen Jesus Christ in the cross. You've seen the image, right? And on top it is written INRI, INRI, INRI. You've seen? Because in the Hebrew language, in the Greek language, Romans, Latin language, I and J are interchangeable. It was the Romans who put him up. So in the Roman language is Latin. So in that language, I is interchangeable with J. So INRI actually in their language is JNRJ, which means Jesus Nazareth Rex Judarum, Jesus King of the Jews. They were making fun of him. After hanging on the cross, they wrote Jesus King of the Jews, which is like insulting somebody. The king is hanging here, you know. It's actually INRI because it is not JNRJ, because it was done by one of the Romans who was a great mystic, and he wanted to express to those who understand that this is what is here in the cross, it's not an ordinary human being. So I is Agni, fire, and N is natura, nature, body. Agni natura, renovat, renewed, through integration, integra. So it's actually Agni natura renovat integra. That means this body has been renewed by fire. It's not an ordinary body. You know what I mean? This is also Agni inside. So it's like that.
Then a question about Jesus, actually.
Jesus?
Yeah. First of all, in that episode you describe in your autobiography where you are in Kailash with the group and then you are transported and transcended to the inner subtle level where you meet all these great masters of different traditions. And Maheshwarnath Babaji told you that they are all students of Sri Guru, or all disciples of Sri Guru. So, and then there is this Jewish master, Yesu, or Esa.
That is Jesus.
Is that the same as Jesus?
But they're not disciples of Sri Guru, they're associates.
Yeah.
They're not disciples.
But it is the same as Jesus.
Yeah, Yesu is the word used by in Hebrew for Jesus.
Yes.
Yesu.
And
also Isa.
Mm-hmm. And then
in Aramaic Isa.
Yogananda Paramahansa's autobiography, and also in other of his writings, he's describing that Sri Guru and Jesus have a very close relationship, and they work kind of together for the world.
Right.
So can you say some words about that?
Whatever he said is right. So they work together for the world. But now they have to work together, they have to be above the church, but still they work. Because the organization has become very strong. So they need to go above the organization to work. See, the word Jesus is the name of the son of Joseph. But he is actually referred to in Greek as the Christos. Now Christos is from which Christ came. Christos means the illumined spirit. Christos. It's the same root. The root of Christos is Chris. It's the same root as Krishna. Christos, Krishna, the root is the same, which means illumined consciousness. So it's not a human being. Born as a human being, but later on transported to another sphere. So when people say he died and he was resurrected, I think he was in deep trance for 3 days. Very deep trance, which you cannot make out, it will be like a dead body. And then he woke up from the trance and he said, "Hi, I'm inside this." So he came out. In fact, it is promised in the gospel when he said, "Destroy this temple and I shall raise it up in 3 days." So they thought he's talking about Solomon's temple. This temple, where the divine lives inside. So destroy this temple, I shall raise it up in 3 days. He came back, right? Because after 3 days, it is not possible to come back to the body. This we all know. We all know this. After 3 days, you cannot come back to this body. It happened to Lahiri Mahashai, such an important man in the yogic lineage. He had told his wife, after I die, after the doctor certifies that I am dead, for 3 days, don't burn my body. Keep it. Who knows? I might come back. She forgot. Can you imagine? So it's better to tell somebody else than your wife, I suppose. See, sorry. So, she forgot, and he was taken to the crematorium, to the cremation ground. And after 1 hour, she remembered, "Oh my God," he said. So she sent somebody running there. There was no car, nothing. By the time he went there, it was burnt, reduced to ashes in the crematorium. I still feel that if that kept for 3 days, he might have come back. Who knows? I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying that it happened. It could happen.
Could you describe the most important lineage that Sri Guru Babaji, Maheshwarnath and yourself are connected?
I told you that Babaji has no lineage. The Nath Sampradaya has a lineage starting with Adinath. Mm-hmm. But the Naths believe that Sri Guru Babaji is Adinath. So it is a lineage.
Right.
Babaji has not said that anywhere. And in my past life, one of my past lives, I believe in past life. I can't prove it to you, but in one of my past lives, I was directly with Babaji as a disciple, close to Badrinath in a small village. I was living with him, and so I know some things which people don't know many. That he is not a human being.
Do you only have that one memory of one incarnation with Babaji, Sri Guru Babaji?
Only one. With Maheshwarnath, yes, I have many more.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But it's something I can't prove, right? So the less discussion, the better.
Yeah. Your previous lives connection even to Krishna and Buddha, how do they relate to Babaji's work?
Because they are all great beings who have come to this world to make people spiritual. Krishna, you must have read my Journey Continues. There is a connection, right? And Buddha, if you read that, you will see the connection, that I walked with him to the other side of the river when he started his first preaching. And I gave him some water to drink. So in the summer heat in Varanasi, he accepted it and drank it. And believe me, even today, there is a memory for me that I have not seen a more peaceful and compassionate person in my life. Not even Babaji's face is like that. This Gauthama. And I always felt that when he is walking on the grass, he feels that I am kicking the grass and going very lightly. I have never seen anything like that before. And when I saw him, I knew that this is not an ordinary person who is coming. And rest is there. I belong to a community which people never even allowed to come close, because we are part of the community that burns the dead bodies. So supposed to be very unclean. But he had no hesitation in putting his hand on my head and saying, "Come, let us go to the other side." And I clearly remember he spoke in the Prakrit Pali language, which is very close to Hindi but little Sanskrit. He didn't speak in Sanskrit. In those days in North India, most people spoke that language. And the first words he uttered was, "Desire is the root of all sorrow." I still remember, it went like a bomb on my head. Desire is the root of all sorrow. There were only 6 or 7 people sitting there, and I was sitting far because I thought they may not like me sitting. And in the Krishna contact, I was not a man, I was a woman. So, the soul has no sex. It depends on the body that which sex it is.
Okay.